I stumbled across a video the other day by Touche Tower. He was talking about circumcision, which is a topic that's been coming up a lot on the internet lately. I think because of the recent statement by the American Academy of Pediatrics saying that they supported a certain type of female genital mutilation, or FGM, that was just a ritual nick on a baby girl's genitals. And you can't really talk about FGM on the internet without usually men coming in and redirecting the conversation to male circumcision, probably because they think it's related and the topic is maybe a bit closer to their hearts. And by hearts, I mean penises. So the video I saw was comparing FGM to male circumcision directly. Touche Tower claimed that it was hypocritical for someone to be against FGM but support male circumcision. Now, I think that point is debatable, but what he went on to say is not debatable at all. He claimed that the number of men dying in Africa due to circumcision was equal to the number of women dying in Africa due to FGM. He also suggested that FGM wouldn't really be such a big deal if it were done here in the United States in a sterile environment with doctors. And he concluded by comparing circumcised penises to circumcised vaginas and pierced ears as all being choices that a parent makes that he did not support. And, to just get this out of the way, I agree that male circumcision is pointless at best, and at worst quite harmful. So in the comments on the video, I asked if he could provide data to back up his statements, but he never responded. A person named D Real Grin responded, asking why it matters, a question that completely blows my mind. I mean, why would the truth matter? This is the internet. It matters a great deal to me. User Freedom of Speech did respond and sent me what data he had to support Touche Tower's claims. And thank you very much for that, Freedom of Speech. I appreciated that. But the data, in fact, ended up supporting the opposite of Touche Tower's claims. And I'll go into that a little bit. First, let me start by describing, for those of you who don't know, like Touche Tower, the difference between male circumcision and female genital mutilation. We don't call it female circumcision because it's actually nothing like male circumcision, in which some or all of the foreskin is removed from the penis. FGM actually comes in 4 different flavors. Type 1 involves partial or total removal of the clitoris. The clitoris isn't like a foreskin. It's actually an entire sexual organ. It's kind of like a tiny penis, in fact. So if it helps you to imagine it, just imagine that you have a tiny penis, and then imagine that someone scrapes the entire thing off of your body with a dull razor. That's type 1. It's going to get worse. Type 2 is partial or total removal of the clitoris and the labia minora, and sometimes the labia majora. These are the folds around the clitoris. Type 3 is the narrowing of the vaginal opening, using the labia minora and or the majora to form a covering seal. And then when the lucky lady is raped on or before her wedding day, that orifice must be sliced open. Type 3 can also include the removal of the clitoris as well. Type 4 is anything else, which can also include that ritual pricking that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommended. And for the record, that pricking is the only thing on this list that's less invasive and less damaging than male circumcision. So let's get back to the actual data on the number of deaths in Africa. The data that Freedom of Speech sent me suggested that there are 200 deaths per year in Africa due to male circumcision, and that was according to the South African Medical Journal. So if Touche Tower were correct, we could expect, let's say, anywhere from 100 to 300 deaths caused by female genital mutilation. Evaluating all the stats for Africa is a bit tough, so instead let's narrow it down to just one part, the Sudan. There are 20.4 million women in the Sudan. 90% of all women in the Sudan are estimated to be mutilated, which makes 18.35 million. Of those, according to the World Health Organization, 1/3 die. That's more than 6 million women. But wait, that's not the only way that FGM can kill. Remember that type 3 FGM I told you about, in which the vaginal opening is narrowed? Well, it's not just that FGM can kill you by blood loss or infection at the time of the mutilation. It can also kill you later in life when that opening is sliced open, and particularly when a woman gets pregnant and has to give birth to a child through that opening. Looking at the figures for women who have had FGM, who have to give birth, postpartum hemorrhage during childbirth is 70% higher in women with FGM3, and it can also kill babies born to mothers with FGM. The death rate among babies born to FGM1 mothers was 15% higher, 32% higher in those with FGM2, and 55% higher in those with FGM3. Altogether, a total of 10 to 20 babies per 1,000 die just because of FGM. 100 to 140 million women are living with FGM. If each of them attempts to have just one child, that means that there would be 10,000 dead babies thanks to FGM alone. To get back to D. Real Grin's question, does it matter? Both boys and girls are hurt by mutilation, and neither male circumcision nor FGM can be supported by anything other than cultural or religious dogma. Both should be ended. But yes, it matters that we recognize the difference, because every time you falsely compare male circumcision to female genital mutilation with zero facts to back you up, you're not just making a case for ending male circumcision. You're belittling and undermining efforts to end a much more terrible problem. I support the end of male circumcision, but not at the expense of people writing off the mutilation of millions of women.